Hi, this is Jeff. I want to continue to talk about probably one of the greatest and most fun things I've ever done on social media. I've had a lot of different blogs and different things and just podcasts, and no one's cared. But this took off. I really want to kind of give you a deep dive, talk about behind the scenes things that happen. And this time we're going to move on to a fan organized convention. And it was just so much fun. Here we go. Hi, it's Jeff again, and we're continuing to talk about the Once Upon a Time fan podcast. This was really an incredible thing. So we were doing our podcast, and I think at this point we did the first thoughts, which is right after the aired episode. And then we did a Wednesday, kind of a deeper dive into the episode. And then we did a live show on a Saturday. I think, especially I think it was during the summer when nothing was happening. The shows weren't airing anymore. We did a live show. And I remember the first 30 minutes, there was an app called Groove Shark. And I would choose this playlist of songs. And basically I was giving people time to kind of connect and you get hooked up, because I knew if I started just hard started, no one had ever been, I'd have this list of help, I can't, how do I, da da da. So I want to give them half an hour. We called it a pre-party or something. I played the songs I wanted, and I usually ended with one of two songs. There may have been more, but one of two songs. One is When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. I figured that was apropos. Or another one was Bob Marley. I think it was Don't Worry, Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Because the fans were always fighting with everybody. It was just sad. I was trying to kind of throw some good juju out into the fandom. And I figured if they listened to different songs, I played Elvis and I had different things. And I think the listeners really had fun. I was looking around and I saw the name Regal Con. And I went, oh boy. And it was, a convention for the fans of Once Upon a Time. And I go, I got to get involved in this. And it was right. I always say it was like, if it's in my backyard, I'm going to get involved. And this was in Garden Grove, at a hotel at Garden Grove, which was not too far from Orange. So I said, I've got to. So I contacted the organizers, took them to dinner, bought them cookies. Because I tried to kind of get an in. It didn't work ultimately, but I tried. I will never forget how great it was. There may have been some, difficulties behind the scenes, but I was just so impressed with what they did. I signed up for a convention panel and we got to do that. And I met people that I had heard of and I had heard. There was another Once Upon a Time podcast, husband and wife team, and the husband came out. And I can't remember his name. I am old. I'm so sorry. But he and I were just like best buds, hanging around. And I remember we went into this panel. The panel organizer was a very passionate person, but they didn't think about filling out the entire, I think it was, you had 30 minutes. Bill and Emery, yes, Bill. Okay, so Bill and I were there, and the host of this other panel, it was Heroes and Villains or something. Once this host kind of ran out of things to say, she kind of looks out and she goes, did anyone else want to think? And Bill and I stood up and sat at the desk, and we just ran the show. We said, whoa, da 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 da. And it was magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. I mean, you dream about that kind of stuff where you will help people. And we did help the situation. And the panels were fantastic. And I'll never forget, I was working with the agent, the talent agent for Lana Parrilla. And so I walked up to Lana to get a photo with her. And so she looked at my name and she goes, I know you, don't I? Now, that could be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. You just never know. She was the kindest, nicest person. And she goes, you've been talking to my people, haven't you? And I said, yes, that's true. And she goes, we need to set up that interview. I almost fainted because I kept thinking we were just this little, it was a podcast. We're not even on television. We're just a podcast. But she was so kind. She was kind to my wife and she was kind to me. I don't want to break down and start crying, but it was such a great moment meeting one of the, I call top tier group of actors in this fantastic show that we really enjoyed. And she knew who I was and she knew who we were. Just amazing. That's the one regret of life I have is we never did the interview. Now, I know I need to build a bridge and get over this. I know I do, but I'm going to just tell you what happened and we're going to leave it there and we're going to move on. I told you that I try to kind of hook into and be a help to and be kind of the podcast that might have access to the stars and all that. And that did not work out. There was another group who had some experience doing it. And so they were kind of given carte blanche and they blocked others from doing interviews. We were sitting in an area with a number of the cast. And they were talking to me and they said, let's go outside. You're a cool cat. Let's do an interview right now. We'll do it right now. I said, I can't. I wish I could. I was trying to kind of follow the rules. And I followed the rules. We went to a dinner that was put on by the convention. Look, everybody loves Lana. Everybody loves Robert Carlyle. Everybody loves these main characters. But there was one character, one actor that I really liked. And his interaction with Jennifer Morrison was my favorite. And because of Joseph Campbell, I could see the hero's journey through Emma Swan's character. And Eion Bailey was one of my favorites. We had a great relationship with the folks behind Regal Con. They kept an eye on everything because of the agreement and all that. And she goes, you're not doing any interviews, are you? No, I'm not. I'm talking to them. I'm being nice. Well, that's fine. Okay. They said, we have a surprise for you. Now, I knew that Lana Parrilla had a number of different kind of fan gatherings within the Regal Con. But I knew that she was going to get slammed. And I knew that people were going to talk to the organizers and say, look, I need to be at Lana's table. That would have been fantastic. But she said, we got you a seat at Eion Bailey's table. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's really fantastic. And when we sat down all together at this table, the other ladies there were just talking to him. I waited. When they were done, he looked at me, he goes, what about you? And I said, you are Emma Swan's Yoda, aren't you? And he kind of sat back a little bit and he smiled. He goes, yep, that's who I am. And there was a kind of get together, drinks and cheese and things. And we got to meet the doctor, David Anders, Lee Arenberg was there. Beverly Elliott was there. It was really an amazing, amazing time. And it came together because other fans put it together. I remember it was Sarah, listener Sarah from Canada. And so every once in a while, we would have people call in. So she called us, I think. So we were talking to Sarah, and it was her birthday, turns out. Her sister, so we were talking to Sarah. It's like, hey, what did you think of Mr. Gold this time? Or, Regina, what did you think? Da, 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 whatever. And then you hear the phone being picked up. Sarah. Sarah goes, I'm on the phone right now. And so her sister says, it's time for cake. You have to get off with your Once Upon a Time friends. It was hilarious. So hilarious. I'm going to stop here. Man, so many great memories. So anyway, this is Jeff. See ya. Bye.